Libra, beautiful soul, today's message is unlike any you've heard before because what's coming isn't just good news. It's a divine breakthrough that will bring you to tears. Not from pain, but from overwhelming joy. Everything you thought was out of reach is suddenly possible. And if you're here, it's not by accident. I'm speaking directly to the part of you that has been silently waiting, patiently hoping, and perhaps, almost giving up. But hear me now, the moment you've prayed for, the shift you've felt in your bones, the miracle you couldn't name. It's already unfolding. This message is your confirmation. You weren't guided to this video just to be entertained. You were summoned. Your higher self, your angels, the divine, they've orchestrated this exact moment because your soul is ready to receive something enormous. And not just emotionally but spiritually, financially, and energetically. Let's be clear, this is not another generic horoscope. This is a cosmic activation. A remembering. You came here not to find out what's happening but to remember why it's happening for you. Because Libra, you've given so much without asking for anything in return. You've held the peace while others created storms. You've bent so many times, thinking you had to break in silence to keep others whole. But now the universe is turning toward you. Not with crumbs, but with wholeness. Not with delay, but with divine precision. And not with confusion, but with clarity so sharp, it cuts through every lie you've ever been told about your worth. So before we go any further, I want you to anchor this moment. Take a deep breath and type this in the comments: I am ready to receive the joy that was written in the stars for me. You can also write the number that keeps appearing to you, whether it's 7, 11, or 888. These aren't coincidences. They're sacred codes awakening your path. And by writing them, you're not just leaving a comment. You're initiating a shift in your energy field. Let me also take this moment to thank you deeply and truly for your presence here. Every like, every comment, every subscriber brings you closer into the heart of this community we call Zodiac Whisper Tarot. Your energy doesn't just support this channel, it fuels the flow of these transformational messages. And I want you to know how much you matter. So, Libra, if you've been seeing signs, hearing whispers, or waking up with a weight in your chest that feels both heavy and sacred, stay with me. What we're about to explore will not only explain those feelings, it will validate them. And trust me when I say you'll want to hear every single word. Because what the universe is about to reveal is breathtaking. Let's begin. There are moments in life when time doesn't just pass, it ripens. And for you, Libra, this is one of those rare thresholds where something invisible becomes real, something forgotten returns, and something sacred is finally unlocked. The energy we spoke of earlier, the one that moved you to click, to stay, to feel, is now revealing itself in the form of a divine opening. Between November 3rd and 15th, the universe isn't simply whispering to you, Anna Marie, it's inviting you into a new vibration entirely. This is not coincidence. It's alignment. In astrology, this specific window carries incredible significance for Libra. Venus, your ruling planet, is transitioning into Sagittarius, a fire sign ruled by expansive Jupiter. This is a cosmic green light. While Venus governs beauty, love, and what we hold dear, Sagittarius amplifies our belief, our vision, and our ability to step beyond old limits. That means this moment is not about receiving small comforts or easy answers. It's about stepping into a version of yourself that believes again, dreams again, and finally says yes to the life that's been patiently waiting on the other side of your hesitation. The tarot mirrors this momentum. The appearance of the stars signals divine renewal, hope rising where it had almost disappeared. An Ace of Pentacles? That's tangible abundance. Not just a lucky break, but a real offer, an opportunity, a yes from the universe in physical form. When these two cards appear together, it tells us that healing and prosperity are coming hand in hand. Your heart is not only meant to mend, it's meant to flourish. This combination is rare and powerful, and when it arrives, it's a sacred instruction. Stay awake, pay attention, be open. And perhaps you've already begun to sense it. You may have received a message out of the blue. Someone from the past could reach out unexpectedly. You might notice unusual synchronicities, numbers repeating, familiar sense, a dream that feels more like a memory. These aren't random theory, the breadcrumbs guiding you back to the path you prayed for, even when you forgot you were praying. Now, let's step back for a moment, not into mysticism, but into trust. In self-help and therapeutic work, we often talk about energetic readiness, the idea that we receive what we are prepared to hold. And Libra, your soul has been preparing for this. Every moment of disappointment, every closed door, every time you were told to wait, it wasn't punishment. It was preparation. And now, as the door opens, your only task is to say yes to walking through. Sometimes, when these moments come, our minds get loud. We second guess, we analyze, we delay. But what if, just this once, you chose to follow the knowing in your heart instead? You don't need proof to move forward. You just need faith in the next step. Like those quiet miracles people whisper about when no one is watching, unexpected help, breakthrough news, second chances that change everything. This is your moment to believe that something more is possible for you, too. Let this be your permission slip to stop waiting for signs and start becoming one. If you're seeing this video now, you already are the evidence of divine timing at work. So take that message, take that gut feeling, and act on it. Whether it's replying to the message you were scared to answer, applying for that opportunity that feels too big, or simply telling yourself you're worthy of more, do it. Because the door is open. The light is here. And you, Libra, are exactly where you're meant to be. Sometimes the rewards that come into our lives are not just about the moment they arrive, but about the quiet strength we showed long before they did. Libra, you've been holding space for others. You've smiled through uncertainty, supported those who leaned too hard on you, and shown up even when your energy was running low. And now, the universe is shifting. The energy around you is no longer asking you to give, it's preparing to give back. This isn't just a moment of opportunity, it's a return, a restoration, and a recognition of every invisible effort you thought no one saw. When we look at the cards unfolding here, Ace of Pentacles, Eight of Pentacles, the Emperor, they speak with absolute clarity. This is not a metaphorical blessing. This is a material shift. The Ace of Pentacles arrives like a seed in your hand, a financial opportunity, a job offer, a contract, an investment, or perhaps even a surprising message that unlocks a long-awaited door. The Eight of Pentacles reminds us that this didn't appear by accident. You earned this. Through practice, persistence, and patience. You worked on yourself. You worked in silence. And now, that work is preparing to speak louder than ever before. The presence of the Emperor grounds this reading in leadership and structure. This is about not only receiving an opportunity, but stepping into ownership of it. That might mean taking control of your financial landscape, renegotiating your worth, or allowing yourself to sit at tables where you used to feel like an outsider. This energy doesn't come to ask for permission, it comes to build. It's about moving from hoping for stability to becoming the stability. Numerology, too, adds a layer of divine confirmation. The number 8 is repeatedly surfacing, and this is no coincidence. In the symbolic language of numbers, 8 carries the vibration of infinite potential, self-mastery, and karmic return. When 8 shows up in sequences, dates, prices, repeating numbers, sits the universe saying, this cycle is not just closing. It's elevating. It's a sacred reminder that prosperity isn't reserved for the lucky, but for the aligned. For those who believe they are worthy of wealth not just as money, but as choice, freedom, and peace. And if you've ever doubted that you're deserving of those things, I want to gently remind you of something. Even in seasons when it felt like God was silent, that silence was not absence. It was preparation. In so many real-life stories, those moments of divine intervention we hear in hushed voices, people don't receive blessings at their loudest. They receive them when they surrender, quietly, honestly, and fully. Perhaps this is your surrender point. Not in defeat, but in receptivity. A space where you stop gripping the struggle and start opening your hands for provision. This is your invitation to engage. Not just spiritually, but practically. Write down what financial support would look like for you. Specific. What do you want to receive? What number feels right? What would change if it arrived tomorrow? Write it. Speak it. Believe it. Then place it beneath your pillow tonight, not because it's magic, but because you are creating energetic agreement. When you write, when you speak, when you act, you are declaring you're ready to receive. And above all, remember this: your value does not increase when someone else validates it. It already exists in you. Let this chapter be the one where you finally align your inner knowing with outer action. Not because you're chasing the dream, but because the dream is now chasing you. All you have to do is stop running from it. It's often in the quiet spaces of our hearts, Libra, where the deepest longings live, longings for connection that isn't rushed, for love that sees beyond the surface, and for the kind of relationship that doesn't ask you to shrink in order to be held. You, more than most, understand the power of harmony. You've given so much in relationships, mediated tensions, kept the peace, made room for everyone else's needs, and yet, how many times have you been the one silently breaking while wearing a graceful smile? This moment marks a shift. The energy coming in now is not about sacrificing for balance. It's about attracting a love that brings balance to you. The messages from the cards Two of Cups, Knight of Cups, and Justice offer a beautiful story that is still being written. These are not cards of mere flotation or fleeting connection. They speak of something much deeper, a relationship built on emotional reciprocity, romantic sincerity, and karmic alignment. For some, this may be a reconciliation. Not because the past is repeating itself, but because someone has done the work on themselves, on their heart, and is returning not to drain your light, but to meet you in your light. For others, this will be a brand new presence. Someone who doesn't play games. Someone who carries a quiet maturity and a peaceful strength. Someone whose presence feels like home, not a storm. But this new chapter in love isn't only about who's coming toward you, it's about how ready you are to receive it. If your heart has built walls in the name of safety, it's understandable. When you've been hurt, when you've been overlooked or taken for granted, self-protection becomes second nature. Still, at some point, even the strongest walls start to feel like cages. So the question gently rises, are you ready to trust again, not blindly, but bravely? There's a moment of divine timing in every love story that truly matters. Not the moment you first meet, but the moment your soul says, I'm willing. Willing to be seen. Willing to give and receive. Willing to risk softness for something real. And in this window, as we journey deeper into this phase of transformation, everything in your energetic field is aligning to support that willingness. The love entering your orbit now doesn't require you to perform. It simply asks you to be. And here's something else to consider. Real relationships, those anchored in truth, often begin quietly. They don't always show up in fireworks. Sometimes they start with a simple conversation, a shared glance, a laugh that feels familiar even if it's new. That's why it's so important to stay open, especially in the spaces that feel ordinary. Miracles often hide in what we dismiss as mundane. As you step into this next chapter, it's worth remembering that relationships, just like abundance or healing, are co-creations. They require presence, faith, and choice. Not the frantic kind of effort that exhausts you, but the grounded kind that chooses kindness, honesty, emotional courage. You are not just hoping for love anymore. You are learning how to allow it. Not because you need someone to complete you, but because you are ready to experience connection as a sacred extension of who you already are. And in all of this, it's okay if it feels scary. Vulnerability is always a threshold. But on the other side of that openness is something extraordinary. A partnership that reflects your growth. A union that nourishes your future, not just fills your present. So take your time, Libra, but don't shut the door before love even has the chance to knock. A new heart space is unfolding. And you are ready not just to feel again, but to be met, matched, and moved by something real. Sometimes the real shift doesn't happen when something new begins, it happens when something old is released. And Libra, as the energy of alignment continues to build in your reading, this part of your journey is asking for something sacred, release. Not in bitterness. Not in chaos. But in quiet clarity. There may be someone in your orbit right now whose presence has slowly dimmed your light, not through open conflict, but through subtle disconnection, manipulation masked as concern, or support that always comes with strings attached. The appearance of 5 of Swords and the Moon speaks volumes here. These are cards that reveal what's hidden behind the masks. They reflect dynamics that confuse the heart, relationships where love becomes performance, and bonds that once felt like belonging but now feel like burden. You may have been holding on to this connection out of loyalty, memory, or the hope that things would return to how they once were. But the truth is this, not every relationship is meant to last forever. Some people are soul contracts, not life companions. They come to teach, to stretch, to reflect. But once their lesson is complete, their continued presence begins to distort your path. And it's okay to acknowledge that. It's not failure. It's wisdom. One of the most powerful acts of love is choosing your peace over a pattern. And this is not just about walking away, it's about reclaiming the energy you've poured into someone who cannot hold it with reverence. When you stop sharing your light with someone who consistently dims it, you don't just protect yourself. You create space. You open the channels. You allow what is meant for you to finally reach you, unblocked. In many spiritual and emotional healing spaces, we talk about the energetic cost of staying connected to someone out of guilt or obligation. That cost can look like fatigue that won't go away, self-doubt that creeps in at night, or a quiet resentment that grows in silence. And sometimes, what appears as a dry season in your life is actually just the energetic effect of leaking light into a space where it can't grow. You deserve more than that. You deserve to feel safe in your connections, free in your presence, and loved without confusion. This is a gentle call to re-examine where your energy is going. Is it feeding you back? Is it helping you grow? Or is it holding you in a loop of second-guessing and over-giving? Sometimes the universe doesn't bring the new in until you let go of the old. And if this message is reaching you now, it may be because that exact shift is ready to unfold. In moments like this, grounding yourself in truth becomes essential. Write down what you know, not what you wish. Reflect on how you feel after you've spent time with certain people. And remember, peace isn't just a spiritual goal, it's a daily experience you're allowed to protect. You're not being unkind by honoring your boundaries. You're being faithful to your becoming. Let this be a time where you no longer apologize for needing space. Where you release the performance of happiness and embrace the quiet, honest work of real alignment. Because once you let go of the weight that doesn't belong to you, everything starts to move again. And Libra, when that energy flows back toward you clear, unblocked, and free, you'll see that you were never asking for too much. You were just asking in the wrong place. There comes a time when even the most graceful soul feels the ache of disconnection, not from others, but from themselves. And Libra, if you've been moving through life lately feeling like a muted version of who you used to be, this part of your journey is not here to judge, it's here to invite you home. You've been carrying responsibilities, showing up for what's expected, checking off the tasks that kept everything afloat. But somewhere along the way, a part of your spirit dimmed. Not because you failed, but because your soul has been quietly whispering, "There's more than this. And I miss you." The energy rising now is not chaotic, it's creative. It wants to awaken you. The Ace of Wands, the High Priestess, and the Fool together form a rare message. They don't just ask you to change. They ask you to remember. To recall a version of yourself that once lit up at the thought of a certain idea, a calling, a vision. This isn't about chasing trends or filling your schedule with more. It's about reclaiming the passion that once made you feel alive, the kind that didn't need an audience to feel real. This moment isn't about productivity. It's about purpose. The High Priestess calls you inward, not to withdraw, but to reconnect. Your intuition is not a soft whisper to ignore, it's the voice of your alignment. And it's becoming louder because you're entering a phase of readiness. That thing you keep thinking about? That urge to restart something you put on the shelf? That daydream you keep pushing away as someday? That's not just nostalgia. That's your soul saying, it's time. And yes, I know it's scary. Following your deeper truth often means stepping into the unknown, and the unknown rarely offers guarantees. But Libra, your gift is balance, and balance isn't staying still. It's learning how to move with both fear and courage at once. The fool doesn't leap because everything is clear. The fool leaps because their heart tells them there's something worth discovering and that not going would hurt more than falling. In modern healing work, especially within the context of self-development, we often forget that joy is a compass. The things that spark us back to life are not distractions, they are directions. We were not created to simply cope. We were meant to create, to contribute, to feel a sense of divine participation in the life unfolding through us. That can mean restarting a creative project, exploring a new career path, changing your daily rhythm, or finally putting yourself first in a way that feels terrifying and holy. One of the most gentle yet powerful pieces of wisdom I've ever come across comes not from a religious quote, but from watching people shift when they realize go to whatever you call the source often speaks loudest in what brings you peace. That kind of peace doesn't always come from staying where it's safe. Sometimes, it's born when we say yes to the scary thing that makes us feel like ourselves again. So take this as your invitation not just to dream, but to begin. Write that idea down. Call that person. Sign up for the thing. Open the notebook again. Speak the dream out loud, even if it makes your voice shake. This chapter in your journey isn't about proving anything to the world. It's about proving to yourself that you still remember how to listen when your spirit says yes. And Libra, you don't need a detailed map to begin. You just need a moment of trust, one clear yes, and the willingness to follow where your fire wants to lead. Everything else will meet you on the path. There's a subtle truth that often gets overlooked on the path of manifestation. You can't fully receive a miracle if you're too exhausted to hold it. And Libra, after all the emotional work you've been doing setting boundaries, reconnecting with your heart, releasing what no longer serves you, and daring to dream again, your energy body is opening. But now your physical vessel needs to match that openness. This phase isn't just about spiritual alignment or emotional clarity. It's about capacity. And capacity is built, in part, through care. Through tending to your own body not as an afterthought, but as a sacred container for the life you're ready to live. When the body is depleted, every step feels heavier than it should. Even joy can become overwhelming. Even opportunity can feel like pressure. That's why this moment is calling you back to the foundation. Back to the daily practices that bring you into your center, not because they're trendy or impressive, but because they restore you. In energy work, we understand that your vibration isn't just shaped by thoughts or intentions, it's also deeply impacted by how you treat your physical self. The nervous system, your gut health, your hormones, all of it becomes part of the energetic conversation. So if you're feeling stuck, unmotivated, overly anxious, or flat, consider this. Your body might be quietly asking for a reset. Small shifts can lead to profound changes. Reducing caffeine and choosing something gentler like chamomile tea or fresh celery juice might sound too simple to matter, but it's often these subtle changes that begin the real recalibration. Caffeine, while useful in short bursts, can overstimulate your system and cloud your intuition by keeping you in a low-level state of survival. Swapping it out allows your body to exhale again. Adding supportive nutrients like magnesium, B12, and omega-3s gives your nervous system the tools it needs to stabilize and stay centered in the face of rapid change. And that's what this season is asking of you, to stay grounded while receiving more than you've ever allowed yourself to hold. Movement, too, is medicine. A simple 10-minute walk each morning, in silence and presence, reconnects your entire field to the magnetic energy of the earth. It's not about burning calories. It's about syncing with the natural rhythm that your body longs for. That silent walk becomes a portal. It's where the whispers of clarity come in. It's where the heaviness lifts. It's where your next inspired idea finds you, not from scrolling or pushing but from being still and walking with intention. It's easy to think that self-care is something you'll get to once life slows down. But what if the slowing down begins the moment you choose to care differently? What if the clarity you've been praying for is waiting on the other side of deeper rest? In so many real-world examples, the miracle doesn't show up during the hustle, it arrives during the pause. When someone finally takes the nap. Finally says no. Finally puts down the phone. That's when space opens. That's when provision slips through the cracks. That's when something soft and holy enters, not as a reward, but as a reflection of alignment. So let this be your reminder, Libra, you don't need to earn rest. You don't need to apologize for needing more time, more sleep, more breath. And you absolutely don't need to feel guilty for choosing wellness over productivity. Health is not just the absence of illness, it is the energetic readiness to receive. And you, right now, are preparing to receive something big. Make sure your body is strong enough, soft enough, and rested enough to actually enjoy it when it arrives. Libra, if your heart is still beating faster than usual, if there's a strange weight behind your eyes and a deep stillness in your chest, it's because your soul recognizes the truth of what's been revealed here. You've waited long enough. You've carried enough. And no matter how quietly you've been hoping, praying, or pushing through, the universe has heard you. Not with a whisper this time, but with a roar. It's not saying, wait. It's saying, now. This is the moment you were never sure would arrive, and yet somehow always knew would come. So let me ask you, with gentleness and clarity, what would your life look like if you fully believed this was your time? Who would you become if you acted like everything you asked for was not only possible, but already on its way? Can you imagine the version of you who is no longer exhausted from giving too much, but energized by finally receiving what was always meant for you? What if your kindness was honored, your heart protected, your gifts celebrated? What if love felt easy, and wealth flowed freely, and peace was no longer something you had to earn? This isn't just wishful thinking, Libra. This is a spiritual alignment that has been forming behind the scenes, waiting for you to stop shrinking and start receiving. But here's the truth, the universe won't force it into your hands. You must choose it. You must open your arms, soften your heart, and say yes with more courage than fear. That is how miracles are claimed. That is how new chapters begin. So I invite you now to make that commitment to yourself, to your future, to the life that is finally ready to meet you. Write it in the comments below as a sacred contract with your higher self. Type, I am ready to receive the greatest moment of my life, or I claim my miracle ERA. Let the words become a vibration, an anchor, a portal that opens your path just a little wider. And if this message touched you, if it echoed something you've been carrying quietly, please don't keep it to yourself. Someone else in your orbit needs this light too. Share it. Spread it. At Zodiac Whisper Tarot, we believe that when you share a blessing, you multiply it. And right now, the world needs more miracles, more softness, more connection, not less. You have walked through shadows, but now you're standing in the glow of something sacred. Everything you've been through has not been in vain. Everything you've lost has created space. And everything you're about to receive will feel so right, so pure, so you, that you may cry. But this time, only out of joy. The most incredible moment of your life begins not tomorrow, not someday, but right now. Are you ready to live it? I'm holding space for you. I believe in your becoming. And from the entire heart of Zodiac Whisper Tarot, thank you deeply for allowing us to walk beside you on this breathtaking path. Like, comment, subscribe, and most of all, stay open. Your miracle has already begun.